This program is a community education production brought to you by the Bar Association of Montgomery County and the Montgomery County, Maryland Bar Foundation. The program is designed to provide you with general information regarding your rights and obligations under the law. It is not intended as specific legal advice. You should discuss the facts and circumstances of any particular matter with your own attorney and obtain advice specific to your case. The participants are local attorneys who have volunteered their time to bring you this program. We hope you find it informative and beneficial.
Welcome to Law School for the Public. My name is David Schoenfeld, and I'm a partner with the law firm of Bonner, Kunin, Treback, and Crociata. The law. We hear that phrase so often, but even lawyers are confused as to what the law on any given topic actually is. The students in our community, who are the future of our community, usually learn the basics of law through a high school civics class, which is not always the most interesting class. Street law makes the learning of the law interesting, inspiring, and molds our future lawyers and leaders. To help us understand street law better, we are fortunate to have with us two extremely knowledgeable guests. Lena Scott has more than 30 years of experience designing and directing programs that educate and empower people to become legally savvy, informed, and civically engaged in their communities. Lena is the Senior Director of Teacher Professional Development Programs and Curriculum working in Montgomery County and around the world. Lena has trained hundreds of classroom teachers, police officers, social workers, volunteers, and has authored a number of publications in the field. Lena is a graduate of Northwestern University and the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Jennifer Laskin is a high school teacher at Springbrook High School here in Montgomery County. She's been with Montgomery County for 2 years. Prior to that, she attended UDC Law School, where she was awarded the Edgar Kahn Community Service Award. Prior to coming to the Washington area, Jennifer was a humanities teacher in an alternate high school in California and an active member of the California Federation of Teachers, which inspired her to pursue her law degree. In addition to teaching full-time, Jennifer donates her time doing pro bono work, teaching people their rights through the ACLU and the Maryland Bar Association. Jennifer is a graduate of Oglethorpe University in Georgia and obtained her master's in reading education from the Johns Hopkins University. Lena and Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So Lena, what do you do? What is it?
What do I do? So most of my work involves working with teachers, and I write curriculum that they can use to teach their students about the law and civic engagement. So I do teacher professional development, and I write a lot of curriculum. I also direct some programs of street laws that are outside of schools and community-based, and maybe we can talk a little bit about those in a few minutes.
And Jen, what do? You have a lot of degrees.
Yes.
They've racked up over the years.
So
yes.
tell us what you do.
Now I've been able to infuse all of the degrees I teach. I teach law to high school students. I teach also a few sections of government to ESOL students, so teaching English as a second language, but through the content area of U.S. government. And I have a small law practice that I do on the side just with juveniles. So I went to law school with the intention of representing youth and kids. They needed a lawyer more than they needed a good teacher. And I left the classroom and got that degree. And now I was able to come back and work it out. So that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah. Lena, what is street law?
Street Law is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for about 40 years, and our work is really dedicated to helping people become more informed, and that means knowledge and skills so that they can be more engaged in their communities and civically.
So the term street law is, does your company own that, or what is it?
That is our name. Street law, it evolved out of the notion that we're all about practical law. So yes, we can teach constitutional theory, but what we really want is for everyday folks to understand law in their life every day. So we're not necessarily designed to, teach the students the most theoretical. It's what happens every day. What can they search my trunk? what do I need to do if I'm going to sign a lease? Really practical things. And so with that, we came to be known as street law.
And how long has it been around?
46 years. Yeah, we
where-
started with Georgetown law students in 1971 or 2, teaching in DC public schools and the juvenile correction facilities in DC.
This is not a new program.
No, it's not a new program. We just keep trying to get better and better.
Good deal. And Jen, there's the program that you're involved with is the Justice Law Pathway Program.
Yes.
What is that?
So the Justice Law and Society Pathway Program or Academy is a career-focused concentration that high school students can get at 6 different high schools, 5 different high schools in Montgomery County, 5 different high schools. It's a combination of 4 classes. 3 are the same class and 1 is an elective. The students are encouraged to read, write, practice, deliberate, talk. You really use like all four skills: reading, speaking, listening, and writing to learn the law and to experience the law. And we really, really encourage people, the students, to explore careers, but also issues around careers, how the law affects their daily life, and not just careers in law, but also law enforcement or law-related pathways. And I think kids come away, even if they don't go into a legal profession, they come away with a new understanding of how the law affects absolutely every part of their life.
So how do you get the kids involved? I mean, these are high school kids.
Yeah, these are high school kids. So I was really lucky. I walked into a program at Springbrook that had been a labor of love for a teacher before me named Gary Frace, and the program already had an established reputation. The students know if they're in JLS, they get a special cord at graduation, they get a certificate. This year we've started the cording ceremony. You get hooded at law school, so we cord them at Springbrook, and that was a big hit. And just word of mouth, it's a great class, it's rigorous, there's not a standardized test that goes with it, so there's not that pressure, it's like a class that they can enjoy.
How many students are involved in the class?
Well, this year we have 3 full classes of the Law 1, there's about 100 students.
So it's a fair number.
And next year we have 170 registered, which is just because the kids talked it up amongst themselves, so we're really excited.
And is it really any different than a basic civics class? What's the difference?
Yes, I teach both. So the street law is different in that it's more law and legal related, whereas and it's more practical. It's like the other end. If you took a civics class and then just did lots and lots of role plays and application of the 3 branches, the historical documents, like what does that really mean in terms of your life? What does a veto mean in terms of your life? Whereas if you're just doing the government class, it's more just black letter law, as opposed to street law programs, which is way more relevant. And I think for me, it's I give students as much choice as possible, because when students have that choice in what they're learning, they're intrinsically motivated to do better and learn more.
So the curriculum is actually, Lena, you helped develop this curriculum through street law, is that?
Yes, no, we've worked with Montgomery County Public Schools. It's Montgomery County Public Schools program, and they've relied on street law materials, but they've also looked at a lot of other good organizations and their work, and it's really created by the teachers in Montgomery County. So we give support through professional development and through materials. This year the county has asked the public school, MCPS has asked street law to come in and work with the teachers in these 5 schools to really help them create a cohort so they can turn to each other and say, I've got a challenge here, or we're doing this wonderful thing, do you want to do it too? So street law's in an advisory position.
You actually help educate the teachers.
Right.
And you heard me ask Jen the question, but from your perspective, what's the difference between what it is that they're teaching through street law and the basic class that I took, that you took, that we all took in high school?
Well, so to be clear, street law cares very deeply about civics courses too. So there are practical law elective courses in Montgomery County, certainly. Really, it's in about more than 20 Montgomery County high schools, and across the country, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of schools have a law elective class. And in that class, students are learning about the law. They're learning information, but also skills. They can be practicing, listening, arguing, civil discourse. It's really oriented toward the law in their life on a day-to-day basis. We also work quite a bit with civics teachers through Montgomery County, across the country, in fact, frankly, even across the world. So what we believe is that whether you're focused on a curriculum all about law or a curriculum all about government, if you understand your own power and how to use law and the legal system and your burgeoning skills, you can be a better, more informed, more civically engaged person. You can get the kind of government you want if you understand how the government works and the laws and how to work the system. So we really think that civics and government can be exciting and interesting and important and not necessarily boring. I mean, I actually think that there are a lot of young people with the right teachers can really engage kids and get them excited.
And that's part of what it is that you want to do.
Absolutely.
And so, Jen, it's clinically based. It's almost like a little law school. I mean, I went to law school and you went, so we had the Socratic method, which none of us liked. But tell the viewers what that is. Tell us how you educate your students, because this is different.
So I educate them the way I guess I was educated in law school. I went to law school later in life. I went coming from a California activist community. So I was very emotional and, strong in my beliefs, but law school, I think like a lawyer, right? Law school really helped me be more balanced, step back, understand that one of our professors, it's not justice, it's law. And once you can internalize that, stop looking at everything through the lens of justice, what's right, and also that, kind of how the law works and how winners and losers work, I think the world makes, you can make more sense of the world. We do a lot of mock trials this year. I mean, this is my first year teaching the law classes. So this year we've done a lot of mock trial. How do I teach the law? It's like law school, it's like mini law school. Like I teach it the way I was taught. I went to UDC, it's very practically based, so it's like 5% of what we do in law school.
But when you do your mock trials, you have a fact pattern, and Lena, you helped develop some of those fact patterns.
Sure. I use some street law.
So why don't you give me an
mock trials.
example of sort of how it would work if a student's watching and they're interested and they're saying, maybe that's something I want to do. Tell them what they might experience.
So, for mock trial anyway, and other teachers might do this differently, I was not a super trial advocate person. Start by teaching, first we watch the movie clips. Movie clips of closing statements, opening statements, a little bit of Judge Judy. They're all into Law and Order, so we see some of that. And then we just introduce the rules a few at a time. So like what is direct, what are the rules of direct examination? What are the rules of cross? And then we just started with these really short trials, passed out the fact patterns. There's one-pagers out there for high school students. Everything's on one page, literally, like the witness statements, the roles. And then I assigned them parts. And so the kids who were assigned to be the lawyers first were like, why am I a lawyer? It's like, because I think you'll be good. And
so they actually play the role.
They played the role, and they got into it.
Is there a judge?
I'm the judge, or we bring in guest judges. So I had a volunteer from the state's attorney's office in Howard County. He was our judge. He actually came and lectured one day on closing statements. So he came in, gave him a little lecture on closing statements, talked about some of his cases, and then he was our judge a few days later. And so we have people like that. Lawyers want to do a few hours of service a month, and so they worked in their calendars to be able to drop in. We'll do phone calls with lawyers, Skypes with lawyers. I try and have lawyer of the week. It's turned more into like lawyer of the every 2 weeks, but it's working fine. So the students can be, they can expect to be on the jury. There's a bailiff. There's a little script. They've gotten better. Their mock trial has improved tremendously. Their mock trial skills have improved tremendously.
And they enjoy the I mean, I guess
They
it's
enjoy the experience.
because they're not
and-
just being taught.
Yeah, because and I let them learn. I mean, the first set of mock trial wasn't really about the law so much as more about the courtroom drama and the etiquette, and they really did kind of choose their verdict on emotion. But the second time we taught more about the elements of the law, what are we trying to prove, and we could get more technical. So once they'd done it exactly through experience, once they experienced one trial, then they were able to really focus on the point of the trial, which is to prove or defend, a law. And so that took a while, though. It took a few months.
I'd like to suggest that this issue of students experiencing it is really core to all of the street law courses, whether it's a government course or a law course or a very special pathway program that you have with multiple courses involved. Because what street law and frankly other phenomenal civic education groups are trying to establish is that what makes law, community, and government interesting is when you experience it. So we could simply put together a Venn diagram of this is the federalism and this is what the states get to do and this is what the national government gets to do and somewhere in the middle is where there's overlap. But why don't we just instead have a moot court where the issue has to do with whether the states should have more or less authority over issues of immigration, for example. I mean, now you're talking about immigration. The students are learning to listen, they're learning to argue, they're learning to cite sources, they're learning to persuade, they're learning to compromise, they're learning civil discourse, disagreeing about things that people feel very passionate about, and sometimes even adults don't know how to have a civil conversation about something that's very controversial.
That is true.
And so through activities, when students can actually experience it, they're much more likely to understand the content and also imagine themselves doing it.
So
Not-
do you take them also, I mean, are there, I guess field trips is the right, what else do they experience? Do they get to go to courtrooms? Do they get to actually see the real deal? Either one of you.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to take a trip to the Supreme Court this year. We took 100 students.
Amazing.
It was amazing. We met some very special, wonderful people. They were treated really well. The students dressed up. They looked fantastic. We went to the Library of Congress. This summer, we should have a few interns in the Office of the Public Defender in Rockville.
High school interns.
High school interns. They're going to be reviewing body cam footage and doing some office work, helping the lawyers, mostly process discovery. So I think we have a few that we're working on the cover letters now. And then DC is like a treasure chest of legal experiences, especially for high school students. Like we had 2 students going to the ACLU Summer Institute, full scholarship, $2,600 tuition. From here, they get to stay in DC for the week and do what students travel from all over the world to do. And then there's a couple different, like just law camps that the ABA puts on, and they're miles for other people, but they're really close for us. So we're building our partnerships. Anybody who's watching, if you want a job shadow,
Well,
please,
that's a good segue
that's
into
our
my
next thing that Lena and I were just talking about.
And we were talking about that earlier. So, Lena, you have these partnerships with
We do.
law students, with lawyers. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this show, Street Law began with law school students from Georgetown University, and they decided to teach people who, juveniles who were in DC public high schools about the law. And they also simultaneously started working with young people who were in DC juvenile correctional facilities. That model has persisted. We now have more than 125 law schools around the world who are doing street law programs. So law school students, in Kyrgyzstan, in North Carolina, at Howard University, in California, at Loyola School of Law, all over are taking a practical experience while in law school to actually help people. So they can be teaching about legal life skills in a shelter that serves people who are survivors of intimate partner violence. And they would use street law materials to help, let's say, the women who are in that group learn how to sign a lease or get out of a lease.
Very
if they're
basic
troubled.
stuff.
Very, very basic things, but that are very empowering and can make the real difference between life today and what life could be in the future. So law school students are doing that kind of work, for example. Law school students are teaching in public schools. They can come in once a week and teach curriculum, and the teacher co-teaches, like the classroom, the teacher is always there, is a co-teacher, and so they will engage students in activities. If there's anything that sort of describes a street law classroom, the students are having fun and the teacher's not talking a whole lot. It's engaging and it's student-centered and
the
it's
students ask a
activity-driven.
lot of questions.
Right, absolutely.
They feel comfortable
Yeah.
asking questions.
You were mentioning earlier, actually before the show, that you have some corporate partnerships.
We sure do.
So how does that work, and how is that helping teach this street law?
So one of our programs is the Legal Diversity Pipeline Program. We work with corporations all across the country, large and small, here in Montgomery County and across the country. I mean, Discovery, Verizon, McDonald's, Coca-Cola. I could go on and name all kinds of corporations. Their legal departments would, with street law's help, we do some matchmaking. We help the legal department find a high school. And then the legal team, it could be lawyers or paralegals or secretaries, they see this as a team building experience. They get together and they go to a high school, they teach some lessons about law, things that they know about and the kids want to know. They go a few times and then the kids leave their high school and go on a field trip to the corporate law office where they'll spend a day on that campus. Sometimes it includes a job fair, doing more activities that are law-oriented, so negotiating contracts, for example.
I was about to ask, they actually do real law stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's what makes the program enjoyable and frankly important. There are a lot of that. The goal of that program is to encourage more people to get involved in the legal community, but especially people of color. And so it's a diversity pipeline program. We also work with a lot of law firms across the country. So, large and small firms will get involved, same type of a model where we will match them up with a school and with a teacher and with kids, and then they connect, kids get to go there. So our pipeline program is very, very popular. There are many Montgomery County schools and schools throughout this area who participate in that program, and we found it to be of great success. We also have other partners that are community-based partners. So some of the programs that we do are outside of schools. For example, in Silver Spring, the Latin American Youth Center serves young people who are aging out of foster care. So street law will work with volunteers. Many of them are corporate lawyers. Some of them are paralegals. But we'll work with them to help deliver very practical lessons in a community-based setting, like the Latin American Youth Center.
This isn't pro bono work. This is education.
This is education. Yeah.
So, and Jen, you've been in less time, 2 years or so. But Lena, you've been in a little longer.
Yes.
Have you started to see people who have been maybe high school students who went through, for a lack of a better way of putting it, your curriculum, who are now lawyers, leaders? Did this engage them to do more?
Absolutely. It's almost weekly that I will hear, oh, I've heard of law. I've heard of street law. I did a law program when I was in high school. I spoke with the dean. I've mentioned Loyola School of Law in Los Angeles. It's on my mind today. But the dean of that school was approached by someone who wanted to start a new program, a street law program. They didn't have it before. And she said, oh, yeah, I did street law. It was like an easy sell. We thought it was going to take a lot of work to get the program started, but they know that experiential learning is important for law school students, too. So, yes, we come across people who are judges, federal judges. We come across people who are lawyers. We come across people who are, sitting on a jury. I mean, it's not just lawyers we want to educate or future lawyers we want to educate. We want people who are going to serve on your jury and my jury to know something about the law. We want
Life
common
skills.
folks to understand the law and legal life skills.
So in our last minute, if I wanted more information, either as a student or as a lawyer, where would I go? Where would I learn more?
Well, if you want to be a part of the Justice Law and Society program in Montgomery County Public Schools, you should contact Jen Laskin at Springbrook. Or you can contact Street Law, and we would be happy to connect you with Montgomery County Public Schools. If you are interested in any of Street Law's programs outside of Montgomery County schools, we can certainly educate you about how to connect with those opportunities,
And
too.
you have a website?
We do.
And what's your website?
streetlaw.org.
And on the website, you have, I guess, resources, even if you were interested, but maybe you didn't want to make contact?
Oh, sure. So if you go to our website, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of free resources, free lesson plans. You'll also see the different kinds of programs that we have, and you'll, I'm sure, find something that you'd be interested in being a part of.
Okay, well, wonderful. I appreciate both of
Thank
you
you.
taking your time and participating in the program. And there is so much more that we could discuss about this topic. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. It's my hope that you found this program interesting and have a better understanding of how our students and members of the community are being educated regarding the law. I would like to thank our guests, Lena Morale-Scott and Jennifer Laskin, for being with us. Let us know what you think of today's show and what topics you would like to see covered in future programs by emailing us at lawschoolforthepublic@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the program. On behalf of the Montgomery County Bar Foundation, I'm David Schoenfeld.